it's at least 30% of my entire identity.
Yeah.
I mean, and am I lowballing that? I might be lowballing that. Welcome to the 2 Decades Too Late podcast, gang. I am Brad, hanging out with Josh.
Moog.
Ooh, I'm sorry, it's the Moops.
Moogie Stimples.
Uh-huh. Mookie Betts.
Mookie Betts. Yeah.
Huh. All right, thanks for listening, everybody. Have a nice... I don't know how much longer this episode's going to be.
It's going to be about as long as the album.
Uh-huh, yeah. This is a podcast in which we rate and review an album that is turning 20 years old, mostly metal, for whatever it's worth. Josh and I each give a rating of 1 to 5 to 4 different parameters for an individual maximum point total of 20 and a combined maximum point total of 40.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are we getting into? I'm excited.
Good.
Yeah.
I can't tell if that's sincere, and I really can't wait to find out. We're taking a little trip down yonder, south, to Florence, South Carolina, if you're reading it exactly how I typed it. If you're doing it correctly, it's Florence, South Carolina. Yeah.
It's true. That's factual.
A band that has only been around for 2 years at this point, formed in 2003, but we have done them or mentioned them on this podcast before.
Indeed.
Yeah. They are of the deathcore or melodic death metal persuasion. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about that.
We're gonna fucking talk about that shit.
Okay.
Yeah. I have a bee in my bonnet because of this thing.
Fantastic. Yeah. Today's album is Bloodlust from Through the Eyes of the Dead. Released October 25th, 2005 on Prosthetic Records.
Indeed. Prosthetic was really crushing it back then.
They sure were. They had a lot of people.
Are they even still a thing?
Yeah. Psychroptic's still on.
Oh, Psychroptic.
Prosthetic.
Okay.
Man, that last album was great.
God, it was so good. Actually, they're probably due for another one soon.
They might be. And
That's gotta be.
I'm standing there at the door.
Yeah, ready to go.
At the gates.
At the gates. Which, despite how much they talk about it, really doesn't show up a lot on this album to me.
No, it sure doesn't. A lot of comparison.
Yeah, which is stupid.
Some people are stupid, Brad.
Yeah. Well, no review we've done has made me this upset.
Interesting. None. I cannot wait.
And I don't even know if it's their fault, really. I did a thing that I don't normally do and actually read some reviews.
Oh, okay.
I obviously leave that to you because I like hearing about it, but I just kind of...
How did you do that? There aren't any linked on their wiki page.
It was not easy. I had to find them by searching. But and the reason I did it is because I didn't understand what they were calling out, where it was like, there are people who really didn't like metalcore at the time that were praising this thing.
Yep.
And it's like, I don't even get that. Someone actually, one of the reviews I read, I forget who it was. It doesn't matter. But they praised the vocals?
Yeah.
Like a lot. What are we... Anyway, I'm getting cart before the horse. Excuse me.
I mean, what's not to love about...
And by the way, I don't know... So in 2005, I assumed he had half died along the way, and that's just what we ended up on. But I don't know if it's not the production's fault.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that his voice sounds as broken as I thought it did, or if the person who produced this is awful.
Which is likely not the case, because the producer on this album was Jamie King, who produced every Between the Buried and Me up until at least Colors, and then I quit looking. And responsible for some of Madonna's world tours.
Dude, he's a big fucking deal. It's insane the amount of stuff that they've done.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were held at gunpoint to do this or like their family was threatened. I don't understand.
There's a chance they could just not be a very good band.
Yeah, that's true. That is in play.
Speaking of which, the band members on this album and this album only.
Yep, indeed.
Anthony Gunnels on vocals for this album.
If you want to call them that, sure.
07. Yeah.
Yeah.
He does the vocals. It is
by definition
it
only.
is the throat instrument.
Yes, that is true. That is true.
In this album. Justin Longshore on guitar, who's the founding member and only remaining founding member.
Yep.
Chris Anderson also on guitar. 04.
Also, maybe the most straightforward, maybe the most straightforward name we've ever had in a band that we've covered.
Short of like Bob Jones.
Right.
Howard Jones, maybe.
Howard. At least Howard is not Chris. I don't know.
That's true. Jeff Springs on bass for 03 to 05, and Dayton Cantley on drums for 03 to 05.
Yeah. You know what? I will say, too, I thought they were one of those bands that had like a revolving door of members, but they really don't. I mean, they've had mostly the same members since like 07-ish.
Yeah, since about 07.
Yeah. Everyone else is the same, which is weird. I don't know why I really didn't realize the vocalist has been the same ever since. Like that surprised me a lot.
Not Mal. There was a vocalist for Malice, and then
yes, yeah, and then everything else and still in the band today is whatever that person's name is, which is Danny Rodriguez. Yep. Yeah, but weird. I expected them to have a pretty long list of members, but anyway, neither here nor there, I suppose. I don't suppose. Anyway, so I don't know where you want to start on this. I have a huge problem. So this wiki pissed me off, specifically the wiki for the album. Because you can so tell that the band wrote it, or a member of the band wrote it. This was not written by someone who likes them. God, it's so stupid.
These lyrics are from poetry and imagery.
So stupid. And it's not, by the way.
It is not.
Also, it says hold on, where was it? Something, yeah. Bloodlust was labeled as metalcore due to its combination of melodic death metal and occasional. We sure?
Breakdowns.
We sure about that? Yeah, there's only occasional breakdowns on this album, not 1, 2, or 3 in every song.
That's occasional.
Other than the 19 pointless short instrumental tracks that added nothing, every other song on the album has about 10,000 breakdowns.
Now, let's be fair.
Occasional.
There's only 4 pointless instrumental songs that add nothing out of 11 tracks.
I was going to say,
that's
over
less than
a third
half
of the album. Yeah, that's true. I guess that is the silver lining to this shit stain. No, I'm being harsh. I don't mean it that, but like, why are there 4 instrumentals on this? It's short with them.
It is 37 minutes, 38 minutes with them,
it's basically 38 minutes
without them.
Yeah, and they add nothing. I mean, at all.
The intro and outro, definitely not. The very first one, let's see, the Black Death
track
and
6.
its aftermath. Yeah, track 6.
Yeah,
that one's actually kind of effective for me, just because like the beginning of the album's, it's pretty fast and furious, pretty heavy. It's nice to have a little bit of a breakup.
I mean, I guess that's true, but I don't understand why they then did the decaying process. I think both of them are pretty solid. I just think you combine them and make them like a little longer of like an interlude, maybe. I don't get the need for both.
Or keep the decaying process and nix the outro, or combine those two and then have a 2-minute outro.
Yeah, any number of things other than what they actually landed on would be better. Sure. Unlike last week's episode where we talked extensively about the tracks, I I don't think I'm going to find much of a need for that here.
There's not a whole lot of variation. There's not a whole lot of story to tell throughout the album.
No.
I mean, there's some good stuff, but like to get into a track by track breakdown it's not.
It's also difficult for me because, well, so first of all, you have your first full length. 2 of the songs are re-recorded and not well.
Right.
That both original versions sound way better than what ended up on this. And then you have 4 like pointless instrumental. Again, you're right. The 2, they sound fine. It's just like when you really take this whole album into its context, it's like, what did you even do? Yeah. And like, well, and just to kind of get into it a little bit, I guess, track 3, When Everything Becomes Nothing, I don't want to like, I hope this isn't like your favorite song on the album or something, but like, it's not a song. There's like 19 riffs in it.
Yeah.
All of them as generic as the last. I mean, the people who praise this for being quote unquote different in a landscape of everything sounding generic, I'm like, track 3 might be the most generic ass song I've ever fucking heard out of this genre of music. And it's metalcore, by the way.
Yeah, it is super generic.
It's fucking metalcore. This is not deathcore.
Sound like Kill Switch Engage or August Burns Red. Like, this was not of its ilk in 2005.
I guess I don't know if I agree. If anything, I disagree because I find it to be less thought out and actually more generic than either of the bands you just brought up.
Oh,
so it's
for
like,
sure.
Like, just because you write your metalcore in harmonic minor instead of minor doesn't make it not metalcore. It just makes it metalcore in a different fucking like scale. So there's not a single part on this album that would be at home on a death metal record, no matter how much they want to talk about how they're death metal. Like, nothing on this is death metal at all.
For sure not.
Melodic death metal at best.
The comparisons to In Flames I see are there, especially with our review of Soundtrack to Your Escape and those just like generic ass riffs.
Yeah, that's true. But like, yeah, track 3 has like 19 generic riffs in it. And you know what sucks though? There's a couple riffs in it that are really, really good. Maybe some of the best riffs on the album, but I couldn't care because they were surrounded by a swarm of pointlessness. So it was hard to even like, I didn't really think I was going to get into shitting on this thing that quick. So
what were you going to save it for?
Yeah, I guess true enough. I don't have a lot of good things to say about this kind of overall. You've got like I said, Beneath Dying Skies at track 5, and then track 7, Truest Shade of Crimson, both re-recorded songs from previous efforts. Yeah, and both worse on this album than their original releases. I don't know.
Yeah.
Cool, good job. You re-recorded 2 of your best songs and made them worse.
You know, sometimes you got to go backward to go forward.
Yeah, you're right. Also, only band I think we've talked about twice so far.
Maybe.
Is this the only band?
Could be.
Because we did this in a jam session.
We did.
Yeah.
A jelly session.
And that EP is excellent. And to be perfectly honest, I didn't like this album in 2005. So
really?
No, I didn't. I never liked it. Because I really, really, I worshipped their EPs.
Oh yeah.
And then when this came out, I was like, what in the world? I've never liked that. Like 2 Inches from a Main Artery was a huge deal. And and again, I get why they started off with that track. It's definitely one of the best on the album for me. Yeah. And I was super pumped for that song, but when I bought the album, like I remember just sitting in my grandparents' basement, as a lot of this will be because I was living there in 2005, and Jordan Guyton and I just going, this is so much worse than anything else they've put out. And like neither one of us, we gave up on it in like an afternoon. Like I never listened to it again, really. I listened to this album once, I owned it, and I just never put it back on until really now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I knew
didn't hold up. Yeah. Yeah, I forgot because it's forgettable. But listening to it again for this, I remember very vividly of like that whole little group when we were writing music for She's a Nightmare, just going, this is not the Through the Eyes of the Dead that was impacting us and causing me to try to write darker sounding things and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, this was a hard pass even 20 years ago. And I was actually, when we talked about it and I said I was excited, it's because I genuinely thought this was going to be like me being a douchey fucking however old in 05 person 18, I guess.
Close enough.
I thought that was going to be the case here, where I was like, oh, I was too hard on this. And no, I don't think that I was. Actually, I think I might have been kinder to it then. Yeah, I think I gave it about as much effort as I needed to. So yeah. And it's honestly reading that first couple paragraphs on the wiki.
Oh yeah.
It did me in. I hold no grudge against you at all for your thrice feelings, because before I even listened to it, I was like kind of getting like ready to listen to it, putting in my headphones, and I was looking up the wiki and I started reading it I was like, this is so stupid. Oh God, it's gross. And it's so, the guitar player wrote that.
Yeah.
Like, for a fact the guitar player wrote that shit. Yep. It's like, this was mistaken as... No, it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't mistaken as shit. It's a fucking metalcore record. Also, who cares? Occasional breakdowns. There's so many breakdowns on this thing.
There are a lot of breakdowns.
It's a fucking army of... The breakdowns are the best part.
Yeah.
So don't be so bitchy about it. And by the way, they don't write death metal well either. Like... Their subsequent albums are generic for death metal because it's a metalcore band trying really hard to not be a metalcore band for some reason. And so they write generic ass death metal later on in their careers too.
Deathcore a thing in 2005?
I would say 2005 is what whenever the Job for a Cowboy album that we'll probably talk about.
I think it's coming up.
Yeah, I think the Job for a Cowboy album is kind of what pushed people to start calling deathcore.
Nice.
It was like right at this time. Like I would say.
Yeah.
Does that sound right to you? I don't know.
It does.
I guess I'm guessing, obviously. But
Whitechapel doesn't happen until 2006.
Yeah, and they are capital D, capital C deathcore in the best possible way.
Yeah, absolutely. So they toured with In Flames and Trivium. Is Trivium metalcore? They are. He sings.
Melodic death metal and metalcore. I mean, you can sing in melodic death metal. That's
true.
Fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. Well, In Flames, for example, they do a lot of it.
Yeah.
And they're like godfathers of the genre, so that's no big deal. But I could see them again. Honestly, you just reword a couple paragraphs in this wiki and don't act so high above it, and I'm probably not so upset about this right now. Because it is a metalcore album, and that's okay. It's fine. And indifferent, though, to your point, they didn't sound like Killswitch. They'd carve out their own little space in that world, but honestly, this album, their other efforts sound more deathcore. Like, they get really brutal on their couple EPs that they did in that split with the Knife Trade. Yeah. They get really, really heavy and brutal. I would actually say this album is the most metalcore effort they released.
To date.
Yeah, ever. And so to be so up in arms about it, clearly, is so stupid. It's like, you could have argued it with any other release they had. But,
right.
I don't know. That's fine. That's fine.
I'm going to go back and listen to Malice after this.
Malice is pretty solid. It's a metalcore band trying to make death metal.
Sick.
And it sounds like that. And I like it.
Yeah. I've heard songs.
It's very good.
I did not like it when it came out after this.
Same.
I was not prepared I'm never prepared for an entire new lineup. I just assume that the lineup's the same from album to album because I don't pay attention to anything. I live under a rock and then a new album comes out and I'm like, awesome! More of the same stuff. And then it isn't.
And they couldn't have changed more.
Yes.
I mean, they clearly I'm assuming they truly felt disrespected by being called a metalcore band. That's because They really tried not to be after this. But you can have all the gory lyrical content you want. That doesn't make you a death metal band. It's
true.
It gives you lyrical content that's gory. I don't know. It's fine. I mean, like, I wouldn't call Black Dahlia Murder death metal. I mean, melodic death metal, of course, and they were writing probably more gory lyrics than...
Oh, for sure.
Not probably. They absolutely were.
Yeah.
Trevor is a master of that.
Absolute master.
I don't think Trevor would have ever called Unhallowed a death metal album.
Yeah.
Ever. In a million years.
Funny.
Yeah.
So you want to...
I'm pretty...
Get into the...
Yeah, whatever. Do you want to get into it already?
I don't have a lot to say about the album, honestly.
Yeah, I don't either, really.
Everyone left. It was pretty short. The drumming's sweet, but he gets a lot of mileage out of that snare roll. It's in every single song. Man.
It's too much. The little gallop roll with the cymbal in between. I hope you don't hate this as much as I do.
You want to find out?
It's hard to
You want to find out?
I do. Let's fucking get to the review. I guess after the last couple weeks, you guys probably deserve a little bit of a reprieve from us talking for an hour and a half. We could go and get into the review. Not a very subtle segue, but Josh, what did you think of the album artwork for Bloodlust by Through the Eyes of the Dead?
I love their logo.
Yep, I agree.
I like the text for Bloodlust. I like the coloring of the image as a whole.
It sounds like you're reading my notes, but yes, please continue.
But I gave the overall image a 3. Like, I don't care for this as the album artwork because I can't really tell what's going on. Like, to one of your bugaboos, like, it's obviously, it's kind of clip arty. The face with the snake in its teeth, it's always reminded me of one of the Thundercats, which I just can't get over.
That's amazing. Well, you just bumped mine down a point. Please keep going.
Yeah.
Awesome.
There's like a fish coming out of the head. I'm not sure. Which is too bad, because the album artwork was done by Paul Romano, who did Mastodon Leviathan, Red Chord Clients. Like,
what in the hell
this
happened?
Is a very talented individual who seems to maybe have just phoned it in for some reason. Like, prosthetic called in a favor.
100%. This is two very talented people, and one of which we've kind of already touched on, and we'll talk more about in the production, but, like, you've got a producer and an artist who are both incredible at their crafts, who both sucked a dick on this thing.
Yeah.
Like, and so to your point, the only variable that isn't changed is the band.
Right.
Like, the band has to be the problem here. Or prosthetic, I guess. I don't know how much say a band like this would have even had in most of that.
I mean, but past artists were like All That Remains, The Acacia Strain, Beneath the Massacre, Byzantine, Animals Leaders, Lamb of God, Light the City, like Scale the Summit.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, Scale the Summit was on prosthetic?
Yeah, they were. Himsa.
Boy.
Gojira.
Yeah, Himsa.
Like, God. Like.
Yeah.
You're in some pretty good company there, guys.
Yeah, it's probably not the label either. You've got 3 reputable things going on surrounding this.
We've given fantastic reviews to several of those bands.
Yes,
artwork,
agreed.
Yeah, just the whole schmear. What did you think of it?
A 2. The Thundercats thing is the funniest. Thanks. Well done. The Thundercats thing is amazing. Genuinely, it looks like a half ape, half kind of overweight alcoholic.
Oh yeah.
like with a jock strap carrying a maybe snake, maybe half a garden hose in its mouth.
Definite garden hose.
Which all
the
looks...
midsection's not viscera. It's just like
a
red bag filled with trout.
Yeah. And then, like, that's obviously legitimate artwork, and then the wings are so obviously clip art.
Right.
So I don't know why you add clip art to a piece of art, especially when you're the dude who did Leviathan. Again, this doesn't seem like...
Yeah, that's a goated album artwork.
Yeah, and this is just... I mean, you are right. And so I landed on a 3 because I gave it a point for the logo, a point for the font for Bloodlust, and a point for the color palette.
Yeah.
That was my original thing. But as soon as you said the Thundercats thing, I'm not going to... And I don't think I even really want to give it a 3. I was just trying to be as generous as I could with what I had. Yeah. But I give it a 2. It's... And if they were an actual death metal band, I'd probably give it a higher rating because it would do a better job of explaining what you were about to listen to, because it does look kind of like a death metal album cover.
It does. Get rid of the wings, get rid of the garden hose, get rid of the cod piece, and then you've got yourself an album artwork. Yeah,
and the weird peacock feather coming out of its right eye, which I don't really know
That's what I thought was a fish.
Oh, yeah, I could see it as a fish, too.
You struck me with a bass.
So, yeah, it is a shame. The color palette is so sick. The subtle, like, kind of blue almost in the background.
Yeah, it's very
pops so well. Yeah. It just isn't good otherwise. So, I don't even know where to start on the production then versus now on this thing.
It's always sounded like it does.
That's true. Which is a thing to say.
Yep. That is just shy of an actual fact.
Indeed. Maybe I'll throw this out to you and you tell me if you agree. If you were not going to get granular on the production on this, it's probably fine.
Yeah.
Like, maybe even, like, no, I wouldn't even... It may be slightly above average if you don't pay too much attention to what's going on. Maybe like a 4 rating for me if I didn't do what I did, which was actually pay attention and listen.
Right.
But if you were just to take it wholesale and you were just kind of listening to it and it's on and you're not really trying to pick it apart, I could see it being decent.
It is.
So I would say there's that. I don't know what that really means, but I guess most people really aren't listening to try to break it apart or pick it apart like we are. So I guess that's good.
That is good.
I'll give it that. That isn't what I'm going to give it as far as a rating goes, but
I ended up at a 3. And going back and knowing that Jamie King, the producer, did Madonna, like, you can really tell the Madonna comes through. No. That's not. But he did BT Bam Alaska and the self-title. Which
I can't wait till we get to that, by the way.
The production on those is definitely way better, but you can hear a common thread. But by the time you get to Colors, like, he's definitely, like, cleaned up the sound in the metal space. I can tell how he's dealing with, like, drums and musical complexity that's not Madonna. And kind of struggling through it a little bit. Like, this is not Between the Buried and Me. I would say Between the Buried and Me is probably... Well, they've been around longer at this point, too. Like, they've got a more refined sound. They've put out albums before. Like, it's not their first studio effort. So, like...
Right. And they're not belly aching about being a metalcore band.
Sure.
Sorry, you can keep it. It's fine. And they're way more talented. Also, I will say, listen to the snare and the kick on both, though, because I did listen to Alaska after this, because I saw it, and I was like, I know we're going to do that this year at some point. So I listened to it, and it's just, the snare sounds good on that. I don't think the snare sounds good on this album at all. I think it sounds like trash.
I think the way they're being, like, produced in the overall mix and the sound is similar.
Yeah. That's true. You know what?
Or if they don't sound similar, they're being dealt with in a similar way.
Agreed. Yeah, that's fair.
So
super fair.
yeah, knowing that, like overall, the sounds, it's kind of a wall of sound most of the time. There's clarity at times, but not often. And like
No.
But there's some, there's some like panning in bits. There's some bits that are trying to be featured. So I ended up on a 3.
Yeah, that's fair. Honestly, well, I don't know. I gave it a 2. It's the panning is actually kind of one of my problems. He, for some reason, puts a lot of stuff in the center that I wouldn't put in the center in a mix. Like a lot of the cymbals seem to all be centered, and that's weird to do. And doesn't give you that like room feel like that you want from drums on a metal record.
Except for maybe when he's switching between chinas.
Maybe. I can hear it on the toms. I can hear that those pan, but the cymbals don't seem to, which is weird. And when he highlights like a single guitar part, it's like they can't decide on whether they'd like it to be panned or right dead center.
Yeah.
And so it differs. And that's weird. It almost doesn't give it like any sense of consistency at all. Like, and also, I have never found this on an album ever in my life, but it sounds like they didn't put new strings on or something. Like the guitar has no definition at all. So it's like when they do gallops, like dun dun dun, like you can't even. And it's not because there's too much gain, though. There's an insane amount. It sounds like you recorded through my old crate amp or something.
Insane in the mic gain.
Well done. But yeah, there's like no definition. So it's like either they didn't change their guitar strings, which would be bananas, or they were tuned too low for the guitar setup that they had and their strings were floppy or something. Like they didn't use high enough gauge strings. I don't know why, but it seems like a real rookie mistake. Because you can have all the gain you want, your strings come through as strings.
Yes.
Not on this thing. It's kind of gross. Also, the vocals are just atrocious. Like, the fact that people were praising the vocals on this is upsetting. Almost. Like, oh, did you listen to it?
We all love a guy who sounds like his voice is going to be destroyed at any second.
Like, this is the vocal equivalent of that American Dad dog with the softball mitts. Like, that's... But honestly, I think if they didn't have him double track everything, and if maybe they just had him do one decent vocal performance and then not bury it under 10,000 different effects for some reason, I think it would be better. Like, I actually think I will blame that on the producer. I don't know who was sitting in the room like, oh yeah, they're pretty bad on their own. Do 2. Do 2 of them. You know what I mean? I don't know who.
He got a pointer. Why don't you tell me about the impact at the time then?
Well, for this album, none at all.
So what?
But for the band, though,
we already did the band. Let's go with the album.
Well, with the album, it's a 1. Yeah, I mean, my bar is nowhere near what it was. My bar was much lower back then for this sort of thing. I wanted this from everything all the time. So the fact that I didn't even like it in 2005 speaks also on the production. Sorry to go backward, but seriously, that whole like tempo thing.
Oh yeah,
it happens a lot.
It happens a lot.
And it's embarrassing to hear.
Yeah.
Like,
there is definitely some tempo shifting or some off timing that's not on purpose. You can hear every mistake that's made in this. And there's a lot of them.
Yeah, and a lot. Like I told you, you can hear them getting on board with the click mid-riff.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, so 1 for impact at the time for this particular album. Through the Eyes of the Dead had my whole heart at the time, and it was disappointing even then to hear this. But how about you, impact at the time?
It was a 5.
Here.
I loved this album.
Sick. Good.
This was my... I never listened to the EPs, really. Like, I listened to this album for Through the Eyes of the Dead, and like,
that's fair.
It definitely made me want to like push speed and tempo in the songwriting and the music playing. I couldn't, but I wanted to. Neither could this guy, and he did. So
true enough. I guess, and by the way, the drummer is very good. Like, I don't want to.
He's definitely very good at that couple of things that he does.
Yeah, he does them well, and he plays very clean. So I don't want to shit on everything about this, I guess, even though I don't even know what the bass is doing. You can barely hear bass. I mean, you can hear the frequency of bass, so it sounds like okay, but as far as what the bassist is doing, it's very hard to even suss that out.
Yeah, if you want to hear the bass anywhere on this album, it is in Beneath Dying Skies. There's a part where you can hear the bass guitar, and that's about it.
Yep, that is about it. But okay, good. I'm glad it got a 5 somewhere, because I'm not giving it 1, so I'm glad that it got 1. Yeah.
How much did you enjoy listening to it today?
Yeah, so here's the thing. I know this is going to seem counterintuitive, but I'm giving it a 3 because I almost don't even think it's worth. It's so. What do people say?
Middling,
mid.
Yeah,
that's a thing. Mid. As the kids say, it's very. Again, if you just listen to it from afar and it's on, you're probably not going to notice the weird tempo shifts that are clearly not on purpose. You're probably not going to notice floppy strings. So, the vocals, you can't miss that.
No,
though.
You cannot.
So 3's the best I can do, because I mean, that guy sounds like he's being put through a wood chipper, and not in like a cool grindcore way. In like a
tragic Fargo way. You ever heard a car come to a sudden stop the way the brakes and tires squeal? That's what it sounds like.
That's it. That is it. Except with 10,000 layers of distortion that don't really even sound particularly good either.
Right. So there you go. And despite everything, you're not going to hate it.
No, you probably won't. Don't read the wiki first.
Don't do
probably.
That. Don't read the wiki at all. Ever, actually.
No, don't. Don't. Just don't. What about you, man? How much did you enjoy listening today?
I gave it a 5. I love this album.
Sick.
I always enjoy listening to it. It's only 30 minutes. Like, it's not even a deal.
That's true.
It can.
No, that's kind of why I gave it a 3 too. It's not like it ruined my day or anything. Like, it's fine.
And man, if you take out the intro, the outro, and like the last instrumental bit, the decaying process, like you're down, you're in and out.
All right, cool. So man, look at that. 2 5s.
2 5s.
2 5s. All right. Well, yeah. So, anyway, Josh, you ended on a 16.
Boom.
Not bad.
That's not too shabby.
Not bad. That's not too shabby. I landed on an 8.
That's not as good as a 16.
And that is higher. It's not. It's half as good, in fact.
Good.
I am gonna say I expected to give it worse. This is actually me like coming down from being so offended.
You thought it was getting a straight 4. Like,
yesterday I was giving it a 4. If we would have recorded this one day earlier, it would have gotten a 4. Because it's just the douchiness of it is like, it's on par with the douchiness of Thrice.
A 20
which, again,
for
I will give you all day.
An 8 for actual.
Yes, 100%. Well said by you. Anyway, for a total of 24 points for Bloodlust by Through the Eyes of the Dead.
It totally tracks.
Super sick. Yeah, it's just, I don't know.
It's just barely over half the points you can get.
Yeah, that's fair. It's kind of worth mentioning that transitioning as a band is difficult. Like, there's a lot I can respect for how this landed and why. Because they were trying to push to a different direction, and maybe they just didn't know how to do it quite yet. Which, unfortunately, turns out kind of a lot of generic shit.
Right.
Like track 3. All right, sick. Well, I almost don't want to let you go first on this because I only really have one pick, but what is your favorite song on Bloodlust by Through the Eyes of the Dead?
I'm going for
TTEOTD.
I'm going for 2 Inches from a Main Artery.
Okay.
It's the single. There's a music video. Like it pretty much sums up the album. It's one of the. It's the long. Nope. It's one of the longer songs, and I actually think they do well in the longer song category somehow. It's the longer songs are somehow less generic and less repetitive,
which makes no sense
whatsoever.
I don't really. But in fairness, the longest song, track 7, Truest Shade of Crimson, is a re-recording. Yes. So they might have an unfair advantage in the best songs being longer category because it was from one of their good releases. Right. Well, that's unfair. I'm sorry. That actually was hyperbolic. This is fine. It's fine. Right. Okay. So
you pick track
2 inches from main artery. Sure. Honestly, it would probably do the folks well who listen to our playlist to put track 3 on there so they know what they're getting into on the other side. I will not do that. I will do With Eyes Ever Turned Inward.
That's a good one.
And I'm glad you picked 2 inches from a main artery. If you went with track 8, I was going to go with track 2. So it works out, I guess. Anyway, I'll add these songs to our TDTL favorites songs playlist. This is the 05 version. We have an 04 version from last year. All right, Josh. I don't have anything else to add.
Yeah, I got nothing.
I suppose.
If you haven't heard Through the Eyes of the Dead, then you probably haven't been listening to this podcast. And welcome.
True. Yeah.
Or you may be just missed that jam session. Who knows? Or, But if you haven't, check out the album Bloodlust from 2005. Check out some other stuff they did and maybe have a good time. We can almost guarantee you won't hate it.
Very true. And to be just completely transparent, I love holistically Through the Eyes of the Dead. This was just a misstep for me. But the band overall, even their death metal efforts later on are pretty solid. So I don't take this as me shitting on the band overall. I certainly would never do such a thing. They did mean a lot to me and still do. Just I never got this release. I don't know. It happens. It happens. You can't be perfect all the time, and they're really good otherwise.
It can't rain all the time. Yeah.
Unless it's April in Ohio.
Yeah. With that. April showers,
bastages.
April showers bring May flowers, and the May flowers bring pilgrims. Definitely with that, he's been Brad. I've been Josh, and we've been 2 decades too late.